Here's a set of results from a JSE-listed company. The company's name is Metair. It's a leading international manufacturer and distributor of automotive products, and it's been going for around about 30 years. We'll talk about the history of it in a moment, because in the studio in Johannesburg is Theo Loock, who's the MD of Metair. Theo, before we get into the numbers, you started 30 years ago making parts for us, then sister company Toyota South Africa, and you've quietly gone about your business since then. And one of the previous commentators, Gary Boyson from Finani Private Clients, almost suggested that yours is one of those companies that gets overlooked, certainly by broadcasters and secondly by investors. Has that been the case?
Yeah, I think to a certain extent up to 2006, where we had a big dependency or interlinkage with a local car manufacturer, Toyota, because we were co-owned by the same shareholder. But since we've gained our independence from that investment structure, and as an independent vehicle manufacturer that could offer our services to other vehicle manufacturers, and then obviously now more that we've expanded overseas with our battery manufacturer in Romania and our battery manufacturing facilities in Turkey, we've obviously gained some traction in the international markets, and we can more closely followed and more closely monitored.
Yes, your year-end results to the end of December look like this. I mean, they really are pretty good numbers. Revenue up 39% to 7.3 billion, operating profit up 86% to 829 million, headline earnings per share 38% up, dividend of 80 cents per share, and that's versus 70 cents per share in 2013. You say the following: the group produced an excellent set of results in spite of challenging economic environments across the board. But also what you're doing is you're diversifying from battery and non-battery, from OEM to the aftermarket. Is that a deliberate strategy you put in place?
Yeah, I think, Metair must be seen as a company that's redesigned. We're in a redesign phase. Our first redesign phase was to move away from single customer dependency and going to multiple customer base and multiple products. And that was mostly focused in South Africa. The second phase of the redesign was again also in South Africa, was to gain a better balance between our manufacturing for where vehicles are manufactured versus our exposure to aftermarket products, getting closer to the end consumer. And the third phase of our redesign is where we've gone international, where we start to get 50% of our business from aftermarket battery sales into those markets, especially Romania, Turkey, South Africa, Southern Africa, Northern Africa, and then into the Middle East, where we sort of maintain the #1 positions in the local markets that we have. So yes, it's been very, very deliberate because we believe we would like, best business design is to have the most possible biggest customer base, and our customer base is vehicle owners. And in South Africa there's only 8 or 9 million vehicle owners, but in the world there's a billion. And how do we participate in the billion? And in our redesign we've managed now to reach almost 100 million potential customers, because the markets that we are in, there's 100 million vehicle owners.
So potentially you've got 10 times the market out there waiting for you to come along with your products.
And I think that's the big challenge for us. It's easy in the acquisition phases, and especially in the first 2 years of an acquisition, to extract value of it, because we live intently with those businesses. We've got a very good benchmark from our South African base to know what we can extract from these businesses. But we buy businesses with spare capacity, and our challenge is to sell that spare capacity with our new start-stop battery technology. And that's the focus. We are relying on our start-stop battery technology as a need and a divisor in the market, where that product will be needed more going forward as carbon footprint reductions, legislation of vehicles become more important. So it's that technology overlay. How do we take that technology overlay to utilize the spare capacity and sell that into the market? That is the next challenge for us.
Yes, indeed. I mean, this is focusing on your Turkish acquisition. I know your R&D department in Turkey is the one that's trying to make the stop-start battery technology a little bit cheaper. How are they progressing?
I think we've done well. We got official approval from the government in Turkey to launch a formal R&D center. We're in the process of putting 50 engineers into our R&D center. We've also launched our international battery brand called MIB, Metair International Batteries, and we're focusing on securing international contracts from that base. We are fortunate that our acquisition in Turkey also had very, very good technology in their business, and we have managed to meet the latest specifications from the vehicle manufacturers in regard to start-stop battery technology requirements. So we're very positive that with a little bit of patience and a little bit of dedication, that we can penetrate that market as a player into the global market.
Is this the one that really would propel you to a leading global player? I mean, you're already a leading international player, but would this put you up a level should the stop-start battery be adopted and almost put into regulatory form? People might be forced to have these batteries because of the emissions that you just spoke about.
Yeah, and I think that's the big focus for us. You know, what's the next phase of redesign? We're now an international business. We focus on this time zone, you know, plus hour, minus 1 hour. We feel comfortable in that zone. We've settled down 2 acquisitions in that. They've been substantially different in size. The first one about 400 million rand in size. The second one 2.9 billion in size. And we say, really in the long term, if you want to participate in the worldwide green technology, that you must be a global player. So a big part of our focus will also be on an acquisitive side, is how do we can really become part in the global environment with our technology, and that will obviously have to be acquisitively driven.
Indeed, and your ambitions, as you sort of outline in your prospect statement, says the following: the bedding down of our 2 international acquisitions is well advanced. You've just mentioned that, and we are now embarking on the next phase of our growth strategy, 50 million batteries across 5 continents within 5 years. Seems quite a lofty ambition. Can you do it?
Yeah, it's a big, if you look at our current base, we've got installed capacity in anything from 10 to 11 million batteries, so it's quite a substantial step up from where we're currently at, but we believe it's possible because the global forces in smaller companies needing to work together to meet and share technology and meet specifications will push us into the industry where there will be consolidation. And we believe, because we've been successful to execute 2 of those consolidations internationally already, that we could be really up there to be the consolidator of 2 or 3 of the other players in the market that could propel us to that sort of level.
Yeah. Have people been sniffing? And finally, have things things that have occurred that you've just described, in other words, making you more high profile, does that mean that people are sniffing around you, number 1, and number 2, as you expand across 5 continents, will you seek an overseas listing?
I think we mustn't get ahead of ourselves. You know, for us, we're in the phase where we want to bed these acquisitions down. Our acquisitions is driven by a customer need. So it's not a wild desire out there to go look for anything that we can buy. It must come with a customer need, that one of our customers wants us to transfer the technology to a specific company that they already have a relationship with, or the company have that specific need. Yes, and we certainly have companies that have the need for the technology that knock on our door, but we've got specific design criteria, and that design criteria is very technical and very specific according to the target as well. So the selection becomes very small. And at the moment we haven't got anything on the radar, but we obviously will keep on searching.